Wonderful brothers and sisters, there is a strong debate that is going on right now about an outbreak that just happened in Congo so many years ago. And this outbreak of Ebola virus, it's actually spreading. It has now spread to Uganda. And it has been spreading like that from Congo to Uganda, from Congo to Uganda. It has never had cases of where this Ebola virus crosses into Kenya or maybe goes into Tanzania, but we've had it going to some parts of Burundi and Rwanda. So this is a very lethal disease. It is worse than COVID. It is airborne in its nature, and once somebody got it, you only have 24 hours to live, because you bleed from every pore of your body, and it's very lethal, very, very lethal virus. Now, recently, in Kenya, there was this saying that Americans were proposing that the Ebola victims, that is the American Ebola victims in Congo, be ferried to Kenya for medical checkup. So they had agreed with the Kenyan government, the American government, that is President Trump and President Dr. William Ruto. They had agreed that they were going to create a concentration center where these American Ebola victims will be taken to so that they can be checked until they are okay. But now the question here is, people are wondering, why is it that Americans are allowing Ebola-infected victims who are American citizens to be brought into Kenya for treatment when they themselves refused to actually support the AIDS victims in Kenya by withdrawing the they are called what, the ARV drugs from our hospitals, and then at the same time also the US aid was actually withdrawn. And one thing, we remember what they were saying, that President Trump at one time said that they will never focus on other nations outside America. And one of the greatest statements, even me, I heard it through social media, that he was saying America for Americans. And now Kenyans are really asking themselves questions. Why? Why is it that, why can't they, build that center in the US? Because the US has a huge, vast land where they can build that center, other than building an Ebola center within the community. And they know very well that is actually an airborne disease. It goes. And what if it affects the community at which that center will be built? And knowing very well that the medical condition of our country is crippled ever since the US aid was actually withdrawn, and some of the funds for the HIV, patients, like the ARV drugs, are no longer reachable, because you have to have some funds for you to reach them. So this thing has brought a lot of debates among Kenyans. And I remember there was a serious demonstration 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people died because of that. A lot of people died, and they said no to this. They will not allow American Ebola-infested victims who are found in Congo to be ferried into Kenya. And it was a tug of war. It was a tug of war. The citizens refused. And luckily enough, when some of the petitions were taken to court, the court actually stopped that facility from, to be constructed. The court stopped the facilities to be constructed, and they said it is illegal, and the government did not follow proper channels as per what the constitution says, because there has to be public participation, and the citizens have to decide as to whether that thing can be constructed here or not. But now the question is, why will you ferry your citizens who are infested with Ebola to another country that is still clean? It has no Ebola. You are taking them out of Congo to bring them into Kenya, taking them out of Congo, bring them into Kenya, and in fact, you are putting them in an area where it is actually concentrated with a community that has its own concentrated function, and that is the area you are taking these infected American citizens. Now the question is, a lot of Kenyans will ask, and they were asking, what were these people, by the way, doing in Congo anyway in the first place? What were they doing in Congo? What exactly were they doing in Congo? Why were they there? Because Ebola is a case that has been in Congo for quite some time. This is not the first time. It has been in Congo ever since. I used to hear of Ebola outbreaks in Congo even when I was in high school. Till today, there are still Ebola outbreaks. But what were these American citizens doing in Congo in the first place? And this thing has brought some serious outrage that now there is no stability in some parts of the country, and that is especially where that facility was going to be constructed. The community there are very hostile about that. Why would you want to take Ebola-infested American citizens, ferry them into another country so that they can be taken care of there? Why can't you take care of them within Congo? Why can't you take care of them within Congo? Why move them out of Congo? And you want to ferry them in a country where it's not infested with Ebola? Those are the questions. And Kenyans are very inquisitive people. They ask a lot of questions. Their government right now, it's in serious problems because of this. Now, I looked at a situation where Trump was asked about Ebola, and this is what he had to say. Please listen to this.
Ebola. I'm concerned about everything, but certainly am. I think that, it's been confined right now to Africa, but it's something that has had a breakout.
What does the Ebola outbreak tell us about how prepared or not prepared we are for a global health crisis? I'm sure you all have seen the headlines. There's a rare type of Ebola that's been spreading in Central Africa. It has no vaccine. At this point, more than 130 people have died. As the numbers continue to rise, the World Health Organization has declared a public health emergency of international concern. And here in the United States, the government has restricted entry for people coming in from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, and South Sudan.
It has restricted people coming in from the Democratic of Congo, Uganda, and Sudan. Okay? Those are the Ebola-infested areas. They have restricted even their own citizens from coming into the American land. But here is it that they want their infected American citizens to be ferried into another country for medication. Humanity is not even there. And in fact, the country you're ferrying these people to, their medical system has been crippled ever since you withdrew what we call the USAID. The medical systems has been crippled. But this is the very, very country you want to ferry your Ebola-infested citizens into. Why take them out of Congo? Why can't you take care of them in Congo? But on your borders, you do not want anyone to come from those countries that are infected. You don't want them to come in. That's the irony of life. You see, that is the irony of life, I'm telling you.
From the BBC, I'm Asma Khalid in Washington, D.C. And welcome to The Global Story on YouTube.
Hello, I'm James Gallagher, the BBC's Health and Science correspondent, and I also present Inside Health, BBC Radio 4's specialist health program.
So these are some of the things that at times you look at and you feel like there is no justice in this world. There is no justice. There is no justice. The only justice people will get is from the Lord himself. That is when he will come and usher in his last judgment. But there is no justice in this world. Some people are not even viewed as if they are human beings. They are kind of like not even viewed as human beings. And at one time I was kind of like trying to find out how this Ebola thing came about. And you realize it's just the same story. You know, same story, the way they were telling us about Wuhan and that somebody went and ate a certain animal which is not supposed to be eaten, and all of a sudden he was infected, and infected is started now infecting others. The same thing they are telling us about Ebola. You know, they are telling us that these people eat monkeys, and because of that, there is one of the monkey that was infected. It is a disease that is infected by the monkeys, and all of a sudden that they were infected, and that is how now people started being infected. But oh no, you end up realizing this is a virus disease. It's not even bacterial disease. It's a virus disease. And you look at it, you realize this is something that was made from the lab, just like Wuhan thing. Huh? Just like the Wuhan thing. They make things from the lab, and it becomes a problem. It breaks out. It starts infecting people. And then for their own protection, they come up with stories that do not even add up. You create your own disease so that you can, you create a problem so that you can earn profit from it. You know, this is the problem. You create a problem so that you can earn very corrupt people. Huh? These are the people who will one day face the judgment of God in the last days. Because how can you be somebody who will sit down and think of how to eradicate a people by creating a disease to them? They welcome you in their countries. They, welcome you. They cherish you. But you have another deal. Create a problem. And then you come to them as a savior. You come to them to show them that you are a savior. While in actual sense, you know very well you are the problem. You are the one that caused that problem. So these are some of the things that at times they are very, very incorrigible. They are things that we cannot even comprehend over what exactly is happening in this world. Human beings no longer have that love. Because that love, the human love, is no longer there. People just want to take advantage of others. As long as they can make dough out of it, it's none of their business. It's none of their business. So the issue of Ebola outbreak is a very sad thing, very, very sad thing. There are quite a number of people who are losing their lives because of this disease. Millions and millions of people in Congo have lost their lives because of this disease. And it is not because that these people were eating certain animals. No, it is because somebody somewhere thinks that he's so smart than everybody. They come up with things to test them. To test them on our brothers and sisters so that they can find a way of making dough. But you see, the Lord is watching. God is watching. God is watching. God is watching. There are people in this world who've been actually exterminated innocently without even knowing. But simply because an individual somewhere wants actually to make money out of it, create a problem, and then we come back with a solution to show people that we have the solution. And then we make money out of it. These issues of vaccination, sometimes even I question, because in the Bible, There's nowhere that is being revealed that once a man is created, he must be or he must be vaccinated. God is not revealing that. And I remember in the days of our ancestors, people used to live, there was nothing like vaccination because it was all organic. Things were all organic. The only diseases that will affect people were bacterial diseases. They were not virus diseases. Anything that is virus-based, that one has been made in the lab. A virus is something that was made in the lab. It is not something that was natural. All the diseases that were there naturally were bacterial diseases. But these viruses thing, these were actually made from the lab. These are weapons. These are weapons. And they come with a lot of terminologies to try to wink and fool humanity when they know exactly what they are doing. Devils. I pray one day, one time, the Lord, you will stand in the judgment bar of the Lord and you will answer all the things that you've been speaking, all the things that you've been planning. You will answer before him. And the Lord will show you all the millions and millions and millions of people who lost their mortality because of your so-called virus. And you will carry the burdens and the sins of those people. I tell you, it will be a day for your gnashing of teeth. You will gnash your teeth. Because tell me, what does it gain a man to own the whole world and then at the end of it all you lose your soul? Of what profit? Of what profit? You want to eradicate a population of people in a country so that you can bring your own population in that country? What will you gain? Because there are histories that have been put there that there are people who've been actually eradicated in their own lands. You know, the originals of the land were taken away in a more brutal way. But today they come and tell us about human rights. There they come tell us about human rights. The right. But they are forgetting what they did. This is demonic. Actually demonic. Ebola is, to me, Ebola is not. It is somebody trying to outsmart people because of something that is looking for. Somebody is trying to outsmart people because of what they are looking for. And then they will come on the screen with a lot of English. Talk a lot of English. Talk too smart. But they are criminals. Thank you very much. God bless you. Looking forward to see you again next time.